A related one is, I think, the phenomenon of worrying. Some people are just worriers. Their resting place for thinking is worry, 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 worry. And this causes, of course, anxiety. And when a person is in this mode, let's say you're figuring something out. Hey, I'm worried about this. I'm thinking about it.
Right.
I'm figuring something out here. Okay, I'm over here. I'm just worrying. I'm worrying, worry. But actually, you're not figuring anything out.
Yeah.
And you are taking your energy away from figuring something out. And so that is another self-destructive pattern of thinking. And I'm thinking within a logic, and the logic seems perfectly legitimate and rational to me. My son is late coming home. He said he would be at home at a certain time. And so instead of just enjoying reading a book until he gets here and maybe a little later, I'm just going to worry.
And that will help.
And that will somehow help.
Yeah, right.
And that will get him home safely. And it will prepare me if something bad happens. But it doesn't prepare you for anything except being an unhappy person.
Right.
In other words, it keeps you in that quagmire.
Right. Yeah. I can speculate about evolutionary roots for how built in that is. In that evolutionary biologists say one of the functions of things like worry is, if I'm worried about you and I show you that I'm worried about you, that can demonstrate to you that I care about you, that your interest is at my heart. And so it does a benefit to both of us by conveying that message to you. But of course, it doesn't do any good at all. If you were more rational, you could see I care about you, even if I am sitting there reading my book happily while you're out joyriding in the middle of the night. But I'm laughing because it sounds so counterintuitive to say it, because so much egocentricity is built into me as well. Yeah, you can see how, like most of our emotions, it carries this biological function or this evolutionary function, but that's often dysfunctional in the world and in our own lives. Over and over again, we've got that.
Yeah, the evolutionary process that has led us to these dysfunctionalities is complex, and maybe in many cases we're not even clear how we've evolved necessarily to this point. But the human species has become so complex, and we're so highly conceptual that the, as it were, fight flight type terminology is only useful to a point. And of course, it can help us understand, why we are feeling, let's say, anxious. I can't fight and I can't flee. I'm stuck. But that's a crude conceptual understanding that doesn't help us very much. And I think that, again, it feels to the mind when you're worrying as if you are solving something.
It does. Yeah.
And as if you are preparing yourself for something just in case.
Right.
But in actuality, what it is doing is it is zapping your energy. If someone's listening to this and you say, I'm a worrier. So I would say, well, if you took all of the time that you spend worrying, and instead of doing that, every time you start worrying, you say, look, this is worrying. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else instead. And that could be, all right, well, I'm going to work out a problem. I'm actually going to write out the problem and the information, and I'm going to figure out what my conclusions might be. And I'm going to actually do some thinking about a given problem, maybe not even the problem I'm, quote, worried about. But I'm not going to allow myself to worry, because that is just taking away my energy. And it is going to keep me from having the strength that I need when I do face difficulty.
And I'm amping up my anxiety all the time. Every time I recapitulate the thing that I'm worried about. Yeah. I'd like to bring up a somewhat different issue, maybe more abstract.